Did God patiently prepare an orphan girl to become queen? Was there a greater purpose in these events? Let's look at Esther 2. How did the king seek a substitute for his estranged queen? After these things, when the anger of King Ahasuerus had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she'd done, and what had been decided regarding her. Then the king's attendants who served him said, "Let beautiful young virgins be sought for the king, and may the king appoint overseers in all the provinces of his kingdom, and have them bring every beautiful young virgin to the citadel at Susa, to the harem, into the custody of Hegai, the king's eunuch, who's in charge of the women, and let their cosmetics be given to them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be queen in place of Vashti." And the suggestion pleased the king, and he did accordingly. Who had become Esther's stepfather after her parents died? Now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin, named Mordecai, son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Among those taken captive with Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he'd brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This young woman, who was also known as Esther, had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. How did Esther come before the king, and did she keep her true identity secret? So it was when the king's command and decree were heard, and when many young women were gathered at Shushan, the citadel, under the custody of Hegai, that Esther also was taken to the king's palace, into the care of Hegai, the custodian of the women. Now the young woman pleased him, and she obtained his favor, so he readily gave beauty preparations to her, besides her allowance. Then 7 choice maidservants were provided for her from the king's palace. And he moved her and her maidservants to the best place in the house of the women. Esther had not revealed her people or family, for Mordecai had charged her not to reveal it. And every day Mordecai paced in front of the court of the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare and what was happening to her. What happened to Esther the following year after she entered the women's quarters? Before each young woman was taken to the king's bed, she was given the prescribed 12 months of beauty treatments, 6 months with oil of myrrh, followed by 6 months with special perfumes and ointments. When it was time for her to go to the king's palace, she was given her choice of whatever clothing or jewelry she wanted to take from the harem. That evening she was taken to the king's private rooms, and the next morning she was brought to the second harem, where the king's wives lived. There she'd be under the care of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch in charge of the concubines. She would never go to the king again unless he had especially enjoyed her and requested her by name. What happened when Esther was taken before the king? Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, came to go into the king, she required nothing but what Hegai, the king's eunuch, the keeper of the women, advised. Esther obtained favor in the sight of all those who looked at her. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus into his royal house in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the women, and she obtained favor and kindness in his sight, more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast for all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast, and he proclaimed a holiday in the provinces and gave gifts according to the king's bounty. What plot did Esther's stepfather discover, and how did he save the king? When they gathered the young women to the second women's house, Mordecai was working for the king at the king's gate. Esther still wasn't telling anyone her family background and race, just as Mordecai had ordered her. She continued to do what Mordecai said, just as she did when she was in his care. At that time, as Mordecai continued to work at the king's gate, 2 royal eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, became angry with King Ahasuerus. They were among the guards protecting the doorway to the king, but they secretly planned to kill him. When Mordecai got wind of it, he reported it to Queen Esther. She spoke to the king about it, saying the information came from Mordecai. The matter was investigated and found to be true, so the 2 men were impaled on pointed poles. A report about the event was written in the royal record with the king present. Does God use ordinary people like Esther for divine purposes? But God chose the foolish things of this world to put the wise to shame. He chose the weak things of this world to put the powerful to shame. Did God patiently prepare an orphan girl to become queen? Was there a divine purpose in these events? You decide.